Okay, Bismillah. So guys, let's quickly get into this video. 3 reasons I believe atheism makes no sense.
Well, that's not what you called the video. You called it 3 reason atheism fails, which is, for one, very funny that you forgot the S and never corrected it, something I would never do. And more importantly, a wholly different claim. Something not making sense is a far, far softer claim, and usually more about one's ability to understand it more than anything else. But something failing is it catastrophically falling apart. Ironically, the only thing that's likely to fail here are your reasons when you prove that the only thing without sense in this interaction is you, mate.
Now, before we get started, obviously you guys can see that there's a lot of mess behind me. We have a dustbin, chairs, boxes. It's a tip, but I wanted that look because I think it gives it a bit more of an informal feel.
Oh, come on, man. Really? Really? That's what you're going with? I mean, feel free to be embarrassed about that mess. You should be. But all you can do about it is either accept that you are a messy little shit, or you can tidy the damn thing up. Don't be pretending that it was all about going for this specific, oh, I couldn't be asked to tidy up and that somehow makes it better vibe, for frig's sake. That is somehow way more humiliating than having people saying, damn dude, you forget to clean up today. If this is the kind of justification you give for a bit of mess, I can't imagine the shit you're gonna say for your likely extremely messy arguments. Absolutely hysterical.
And I just wanted to give that flavor to this video because it's more of a conversation. And I want to continue this conversation in the comments below and get your thoughts on the points that I mentioned. I think it's very important to do that.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing when I cannot be damned to tidy my bedroom. It's not because it's been a long goddamn day and I simply want to crawl into bed and pass the hell out, so I drop all my shit on the floor. No, it's actually because I want to make the bedroom more conversational. That's what I tell Mrs. Sick anyway when I drop aforementioned crap onto her side of the bed, so she cannot lay down next to me. What a joke.
Because instead of just have a type of monologue, which unfortunately we're restricted to in a way on YouTube. Or another thing you can say as well, you know, it's just laziness that you're trying to cover up and you didn't want to clean.
Oh, it's definitely the last thing, mate. And dude, it is literally a monologue, regardless of if you had a clean and tidy backdrop, or a garbage tip, or the hypothetical most conversational background ever. Whatever the hell that would be. You are talking to a camera and nothing else. Hell, I'm doing basically the same, but at least I'm actually responding to you, making it infinitely more conversational. And I didn't even have to chuck a bunch of trash everywhere.
Either way, let's get into the video. Number 1, the reason atheism makes no sense is because
it never gets to the freaking point. No, wait, that's you. Sorry. You know, with all that time you saved by not clearing away your filth, you could have written a script, or at least some bullet points, so you actually knew what you were going to say next. Then again, lazy is as lazy does, or I guess doesn't in your case. I wonder if this will reflect into intellectual laziness. Who am I kidding? No need to wonder about the inevitable.
If you adopt the type of atheism which is based on philosophical naturalism, which is the idea that everything is a result of physical processes, it's all physical and everything can be accounted for via physical means, then you run into a lot of problems.
Problems like what exactly? That atheism and naturalism aren't in any way synonyms? Or that naturalism has been one of the most successful bases for understanding how the universe works pretty much ever? And we know this because it's pretty much how we do science. And I don't know if you have noticed, but out of all the things that attempt to explain reality, only one has produced rockets and computers and all the crap that makes, well, this video you are making possible, for one. And it isn't the one that simply shrugs its shoulders and says, God did it, I guess.
And the first problem is, if you go right down to the foundations, what we're saying here is that everything has happened by accident.
Aside from the fact that accident is just not the right word for the physical processes of the universe, there is nothing accidental or on purpose about these things in space bumping into each other. It just is. But even if it wasn't a ridiculous bit of equivocation, so what? The universe happening not on purpose is exactly what many atheists think is how it works. Attempting to attack them on something they are fine with is like trying to attack me because I like whiskey. Oh no, you got me. Guess I better go drink even more of all of it.
It's physical processes, physical things, physical atoms and molecules bumping and colliding into each other over millions and trillions of years, God knows how long, which have resulted in everything we see in the world today. This is absolutely crazy. It's madness.
Ah, of course, a classic. I don't like it, therefore it must be wrong argument. Unfortunately, that doesn't really hold water because I don't give a shit about your personal incredulity. Just because you think something sounds implausible doesn't mean that that is true. I mean, I think it's implausible that you have a brain capable of rational thought, but it could be in there, although it sure as shit wouldn't be a very good one.
All of the order, all of the balance, everything we see within the universe, including ourselves as human beings, all of this is a result of an accident. That makes no sense from a rational, intuitive, common sense perspective. It just doesn't make sense in any way, shape or form.
It might not be intuitive to you or common sense, again, to you, but it is perfectly rational. If physical processes cause things, everything that we know of in fact, then concluding that physical processes cause everything is not just rational, it's pretty much the only rational conclusion. I'll tell you what's irrational, seeing a universe formed from said processes and saying, wow, this must have been made by a magic man for no reason, and he really cares what we wear and if we masturbate. That is the height of insanity when you really boil it down.
But to develop this, I go to the second point, which is, let's take our rational faculties as human beings.
Oh wow, we're moving at a fair clip, aren't we? And you have rational faculties. I mean, you're really going to have to prove that by not saying stupid shit and making actually decent arguments. And considering what's happened so far, well, let's just say I'm a little skeptical of that happening, but do go ahead.
Atheists, theists alike, we all acknowledge that we have rational faculties, truth-bearing faculties. Faculties, when we engage them and we use them, they can lead us to truth. Otherwise, if we don't believe this, we shouldn't really hold any position because we can't even be sure of what we believe, right?
Actually, you can be both convinced of a position and not 100% confident in your own rational faculties. But you can take the pragmatic position that what you understand about the world is likely reasonable, especially if things appear to function the way you think they do. And hell, if you aren't reasonable and you cannot do that, you wouldn't know in the first place, so it's an utterly moot point. But being intellectually honest about the possibility that they could be wrong doesn't mean one cannot hold any ideas whatsoever, and only a moron would think that you can't.
However, on atheism, the type of philosophical naturalism, you cannot account for your rational faculties, your truth-bearing faculties. Why? Well, there is no direct correlation between survival, from an evolutionary perspective, and truth.
I'm happy to admit that it's not 100% correlation, but the idea that there's no relation between survival and things that are true is gibberitic nonsense. Thousands, tens of thousands, hell, probably millions of learned facts about the world make up the average human's brain. Some of them from their experience, but a lot are ancestral instincts about water and heights and the colour of certain fruits or the shapes of certain animals, all coming together to build up a sort of fact sheet. Don't do that, you'll die, for the most part. And a bunch of shit that you should do, and it will likely keep you alive. But yeah, not all of it is 100% true. Not all fruits of a particular colour will make you sick. Not all snakes are all that dangerous. But ultimately, it's a set of rules that will keep your average human alive because they are, for the most part, true. If they weren't, every human alive would have marched out into the ocean one after the other, never stopping to question why all the people ahead of them start thrashing around for a few minutes before going to sleep face down and then sinking.
Now, Hamza's done a lot of research on this, and he's going to be publishing some of this in his revised edition of his book, The Divine Reality. Definitely check that out if you haven't already.
So your mate's book is one of the ones that I am definitely going to have to put down on my list for emergency toilet paper. Thank you. Always good to know what books are so worthless that I can wipe my ass with them. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need a quick dump.
And also, he's done a specialist series on this, and we'll have videos in a lot more detail on this particular topic. But what he shows is that, look, in academia, in the sphere of academia, what they're showing is that truth or survival is not contingent upon truth.
Well, that's simply not true. As I pointed out, that while 100% factual accuracy is not necessary for survival, some accuracy is absolutely necessary, especially in a world so chock full of dangers. And I guarantee that no serious academic worth his salt thinks that the two aren't pretty closely related, if not perfectly aligned. Unless, of course, academia in your mind is people who agree with you, and the rest are just fake smarters who lie because they hate God so much.
True beliefs as well as false beliefs both can adequately result in survival. Therefore, we have no reason to assume that we've ended up with truth-bearing faculties. That's very interesting.
Let's assume that isn't a woefully misleading way to put it. Well, then it's a shame that we didn't come up with a process that could discover truth regardless of our inability to discern it. Oh wait, no, that's called science. Also, if this is what you genuinely believe about reality and think that I should believe too, then why the would I be inclined to believe that the things you say are based on some kind of objective reality? Because God said so does nothing to help you. That's a claim you are making about what God said. God could have said anything to your utterly incoherent brain. What comes out of your mouth after will have no strict relation to any of that.
Right? He gives some many examples, and there's many examples we can share. I'll just share one brief one with you, just to sort of illustrate the point. Say there's a jungle man, as Hamza says, there's a jungle man, he's in the jungle, he's hunting.
I'm sorry, but the jungle manning it up in the jungle is so hilariously reductive as a concept that it's really difficult to take seriously. And that's despite the fact that you're already very, very hard to take even remotely so.
And he is a rustling in the bush, right? Now, he concludes there is a lion, danger, run, hide, and he survives. Brilliant. But is it necessarily a true belief? Is it a rational belief? No.
Oh my God, you are so dumb. Truth and rational, especially in this scenario, are absolutely not the same thing. It is not true to believe there is always a predator in the bushes, but it is absolutely rational. What would be irrational is to weigh up the pros and cons of there not being something there that wants to eat you, hiding away each and every time until one time an animal jumps out and bites your frigging face off.
So here is an example where a false belief can adequately result in survival. And you can even argue that a false belief in some instances could be more beneficial from the perspective of survival. Why? Because it takes less processing, less thinking from that perspective.
I'm sorry, all you said was there was a rustling. You didn't say that there wasn't some kind of danger in the bushes. So how is that a false belief in any way, shape or form? But you are right on one thing, which must be a very interesting sensation that you've never felt before. It is more efficient to assume that all things that can result in peril are equally perilous. It's kind of a Schrodinger's tiger, until you check the bushes and collapse your waveform, aka life, mostly from tiger bites. But again, these are not irrational beliefs, they are safety habits that improve survival. It's a statistical bet on not dying.
Imagine he sat there and he had to analyze the bush, wait for it to rustle again, determine whether it was the wind, see if he can see something else which may allow him to conclude it's danger. That type of processing will take a lot more time, which would mean, the chances of survival diminish.
You see, the ultimate thing that you have missed here is there is a fundamental truth that you are either ignoring or far, far, far too stupid to understand. A fact that is a fact, no matter how you slice it, and one that absolutely promotes survival. Sometimes there are tigers behind the bush. If there were never tigers behind the bush, then it would be a belief based on nothing. Then it would be irrational. Only then would you be making a point. But it wouldn't be one based on anything to do with reality, you dumbass.
And obviously you can go into a lot more detail, but the point being that if you purely base it on this type of understanding, this perspective of philosophical naturalism and peg our rational truth-bearing faculties on evolution, then you cannot account for them. You cannot justify them. At best, you'll have to be skeptical about your rational faculties. And if that's the case, what does that say about your views on atheism that you hold, or your lack of belief in God?
It's amazing to me that you think any of this is some kind of gotcha. Skepticism starts with one's own beliefs. If you think you are right about everything, if your beliefs are based on thought-terminating cliches like God did it, if you never examine why you believe something, and it's likely or not factuality, you will believe stupid shit the lion's share of the time. Skeptics not only understand that their faculties are something to be questioned, but are in fact proud of the fact that that is something that they try to do every day. The fact that you think that that is a bad thing says infinitely more about the quality of your beliefs than it does about anyone else's. And none of those things are good things, I'll tell you that for free.
It's self-defeating from that perspective. That's number two.
Knowing that you could be wrong is not self-defeating in any way. Thinking that you are always right because you read it in a book written by ancient morons, that shit is so self-defeating, it's like it's fighting itself, but itself is also a CPU-controlled Shao Kahn, that input-reading, cheating bastard.
Number three quickly is morality.
Before he even starts, I need to remind everyone that subjective morals are not and have never been the same thing as no moral, and also that morality based on God's whims are not objective because they are in fact subject to God's, in many religions regularly changing, whims.
Now we've seen, guys, over and over again, atheists such as Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, and so on and so forth, attacking religion, making claims against religion. This is bad, this is evil, this is immoral. Even Richard Dawkins in his new book, Outgrowing God, which we have by the way, we have a full review of on this channel, make sure to go check it out. He spends, a lot of time in his book attacking what religions have to say, the Bible in particular has to say, and by extension the Quran, as far as narratives and stories and how they're immoral according to him.
Those ancient stories aren't immoral just according to them. They are immoral according to basically anyone with the functional ability to empathize. Fact is, you throw almost any part of one religion to another person who holds a different religious belief. It's always incredibly obvious to them that it's obviously bad. But you point out a portion of their own thing that is similar or even worse, well, suddenly that's out of context, or needed to happen for God's greater plan, or some such other hand-wavy bullshit that doesn't address the fact that it is obviously bad. It's clear that humans have the ability to do morality regardless of their faith, and that includes atheists, because it was never about the idea of some God. It's about suffering and the desire to prevent it.
But the interesting thing is that if you adopt the type of atheism I'm talking about, you have no moral grounding. You have no moral anchor. You are in no position to challenge or make or pass moral judgments.
Nope, you're wrong, because clearly you know nothing about the very much grounded reality of secular ethics, which are actually based in things that we can all understand. At its most basic level, it's the prevention of suffering, the preservation of life, while also maintaining individual autonomy. Ironically, the ones without a solid grounding are the ones who pick a random book and decide that that is their basis of morality. But that choice is arbitrary. It could have been anything that just happened to convince you at some point in your life. But even that can change while still believing in what you would justify as the same God. It's just you believed the wrong version at one point. None of this is objective in any way.
Why? Because again, if it's all down to evolution, if we think of it from that perspective, then everything is evolving and our morals have too evolved. And it's not about truth or good or bad, but what's beneficial for survival.
Yes, and what we now consider good morals have proven to be some of the most beneficial to survival of pretty much any kind that we've ever had. The sorts of beliefs that come out of the Enlightenment produced absolutely explosive improvements in well-being and lifespan. If anything, all you're doing is admitting that the current state of secular ethics has been some of the best outcomes in all of human history. Oh no, I guess I'll stop being an atheist then, you catastrophically dumb asshole. Bye!